The sequel to Breath of the Wild, as of now, is still in development, and with it being over a year now since the teaser trailer released at E3 2019, we have yet to get any new information on the game. The withering corpse of Ganondorf comes to life at the end of this teaser, but a particular piece of this trailer has always stood out to me over time. Specifically, there is a quick flash of markings on the cave wall that show a figure being attacked by what seems to be the same hand that has been pinning down Ganondorf in this never-ending seal. While it is more likely that this figure is Ganondorf before being sealed, I feel there is also a possibility that this is Demise. I say this due to the hands having claw-like tips, much like Demise's, as well as the nose shape matching that of Demise. So with the information provided, I ask you this: will Demise play some kind of role in the sequel to Breath of the Wild? My name is HylianLuke, and today I am joined by Hyrule Gamer. Today we are going to discuss with you the clues and possibility of Demise playing even a minor role in the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Hyrule Gamer and I present to you the effect of Demise.
Now to start, we have to split this up into 3 separate segments. Those 3 segments are pre-Skyward Sword, Skyward Sword, and post-Skyward Sword. What these mean is simply games that were released before Skyward Sword releasing, and Zelda games releasing after Skyward Sword. We are of course going to start with pre-Skyward Sword. So before Skyward Sword, the Zelda games have had this repeated cycle of Link having to save the Kingdom of Hyrule from Ganon or Ganondorf. Ganon in the previous Zelda titles had a blind hatred for the Golden Goddesses, and wanted to claim the Triforce for himself to add to his own power. This is where Skyward Sword's lore comes into play. Skyward Sword's very own Demise gave Ganon, or Ganondorf, a reason why he had such a strong hatred for the goddesses. It is because of Demise's hatred, and to an extent Demise himself being reincarnated into the being we know to this day as Ganon or Ganondorf, as to why such hatred exists within them. We also discover 2 other key elements during Skyward Sword's story, which is that Fi is the spirit that rests within the Master Sword, and that Zelda is the goddess Hylia reborn as a mortal. These 3 elements could have affected the future of Zelda games from this point on, and how they were designed story-wise. This brings us into the post-Skyward Sword era, starting with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's story and world was influenced thanks to the world and story of Skyward Sword. The Hylia statues and some landmark locations such as the Spring of Power make for some more obvious nods towards Skyward Sword. Now, it's time to explain some key pieces of story in Breath of the Wild that can be traced back to Skyward Sword being the influence behind it.
Inside the Creating a Champion book for Breath of the Wild, on page 376, under the section titled The Hero Chosen by the Master Sword, it states that Link was around 12 to 13 years old when Link found and extracted the Master Sword from his pedestal. The whereabouts of where this happened are lost to time, however, as Link doesn't remember where. Quote,
it is said that the legendary Master Sword can only be wielded by a hero chosen by the sword itself, and its whereabouts had long been a mystery. The details of how Link obtained the sword 100 years ago have been lost to the mists of time, but since he was in possession of it for a number of years prior to becoming a champion, he was likely around 12 or 13 years old when it happened.
This piece of information is important as it will play a role in understanding Skyward Sword's influence on Breath of the Wild. As we know, in the last memory Link obtains, we discover that Link is almost killed, but is taken to the Shrine of Resurrection in order to save his life. Zelda believes that Link is dead at this point, but the voice within the Master Sword tells her that Link isn't completely dead yet. He is merely unconscious and will surely die in due time unless he is immediately taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. Thanks to Skyward Sword, we know that the voice within the Master Sword is actually Fi. Despite falling into a never-ending slumber within the sword at the end of Skyward Sword, she awoke just ever so slightly to alert Zelda that Link could be saved. After Link was taken by the Sheikah members to the Shrine of Resurrection, Zelda took the Master Sword back to the Great Deku Tree so it could heal its wounds from the Battle of the Great Calamity. I believe Zelda took the sword back to Korok Forest because Fi guided her there. Remember when the Creating a Champion book stated that the whereabouts of the Master Sword pre-Calamity are a mystery and lost to the mists of time? I believe this is because the Master Sword 100 years ago rested within the Korok Forest, and Link, as a 12 to 13-year-old kid, managed to find his way through the Lost Woods and extracted the Master Sword from its pedestal. Upon leaving the woods, this is where Fi was able to track how to get in and out of the woods. Fast forward to Zelda taking the sword back into Korok Forest, Zelda was able to get through the forest thanks to the voice within the Master Sword, Fi. After speaking with the Great Deku Tree in Korok Forest, Zelda, with her awakened power, sets off to Hyrule Castle to keep Calamity Ganon at bay. 100 years later, Link awakens from the Shrine of Resurrection, explores Hyrule, rediscovers the Master Sword, claims it once again, and at some point completes the trial of the sword. Once completed, Link hears the sword speak to him ever so faintly. This is the bond that Fi and Link shared within Skyward Sword. Now, what does any of this have to do with the teaser trailer for the Breath of the Wild sequel? Well, I think it helps us predict what could happen in the sequel, and let me explain. While everyone seems to see Demise as just another Zelda villain, I believe he is so much more than that. Demise isn't just another Zelda villain, as he is actually the polar opposite of Hylia. It all comes down to the little details. In the beginning of Skyward Sword, you find out the Goddess Sword was created by Hylia, and Fi was created as well to guide the hero to fulfill his quest. Later on, throughout the entire game actually, you are stalled and attacked by Demon Lord Girahim, who is actually the spirit of Demise's sword. When the Master Sword is blessed by Zelda, who is the Goddess Hylia reborn, the Master Sword is marked with the mark of the Triforce. Demise's sword is that of the opposite. His sword looks as an anti-Master Sword, complete with an inverted Triforce mark upon it. This is because while each respective piece of the Triforce represents the golden goddesses of Din, Nehru, and Furore, the Triforce as a whole represents the goddess Hylia. With this said, the goddess crests are different symbolisms than the Triforce. The Triforce can represent all four goddesses at once, whereas the crest is purely for Hylia. As such, an inverted Triforce would be what represents Demise. This does imply that Demise is a god, but rather a god of hatred and terror, which versus Hylia, who is a goddess of peace and tranquility. During the battle between Demise and Hylia, Hylia lost her life to Demise, but managed to seal him away before her death. She gave up immortality to seal him away. This is what leads to Zelda becoming the rebirth of Hylia. Demise follows a similar path, as when he is defeated by Link, he curses the Hylian bloodline by saying he will be reborn with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. Because Zelda is the goddess Hylia reborn as a mortal, and Ganondorf is the reincarnation of Demise, is it possible that Demise could play some sort of role in the sequel to Breath of the Wild? As I just mentioned, Zelda is the goddess Hylia reborn, and in Breath of the Wild, she spent her entire life trying to awaken her power. Now that we've established the Hylia side of things, will the Breath of the Wild sequel bring us the connections between Ganondorf and the Demon King, Demise? Thank you all so much for watching this theory speculation video. How do you feel about my thoughts and connections between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild? Do you think Demise will play some minor role in Breath of the Wild sequel? Let me know in the comments below. Huge shout out to Hyrule Gamer for helping me with this video. Hyrule Gamer makes amazing theories and overall great Zelda content, so if you're interested in more Zelda, be sure to check out his channel. His channel is linked in the description and can be found at the end card at the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. While you're at it, be sure to turn notifications on by clicking the bell icon. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can do so by checking out the description below. My Patreon is also down there, and you can help make these videos happen by pledging $1 single to the channel. If you want to stay in touch with me, check out my Discord servers as well. With all that said and done, thank you so much for watching. My name is HylianLuke, and I will see you all next time. Ciao!